And then So welcome everybody. It's really good to see you all here. Welcome, Anne. We had you talk to us last year. We're so glad to have you join us and be back with us. Before we get started, in just a second, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself and start the presentation. But I did want to talk a little bit about our community agreements. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Tutu. I am a youth engagement coordinator, but I also help run the Farmstand Youth Workforce Development program. And so most of you are attending this workshop are attending it as part of our workforce development program. It's great to see you if you're new to GrowNYC. We have a couple of community agreements that we put together as staff and as team members, and it's the way that we're choosing to engage with ourselves. We want to encourage everybody to step up and step back. Please give room for others to speak. We encourage you to trust folks' intention, but acknowledge the impact that your words might cause. We ask you to understand and respect boundaries, both physical and verbal. We ask you to be clear and honest in your communication so we can make good decisions together. Please feel free to speak up or to reach out if you need help. We're all in this together. We have a mutual understanding of the importance. We want to have a mutual understanding of the importance of taking breaks and allowing others to have a moment to recollect themselves if needed, knowing that if you needed one, that others would do the same for you. We encourage you to be open-minded and understanding of different backgrounds and perspectives. We obviously want you to listen to the speakers, even if you don't agree. We ask you to be patient, open-minded, and respectful. And we want you to acknowledge the strengths of others and to work collaboratively. There's no hierarchy in this workshop, in this conversation, in terms of ages, positions. We all want to respect one another. And we want to encourage reciprocal feedback, make sure that when we're meeting each other's expectations. And in terms of text-specific community agreements, we want you to keep your mic muted unless you're speaking. This helps to reduce the background noise, and we're recording this, so it's really helpful if you can turn off your mics. If it's possible to turn on your video, we want to see your faces. It really helps when Anne is talking to make sure that she's keeping tabs on everybody. So if you're in a place where you can turn on your video, please, we encourage you to do that. Use that chat for any questions, thoughts. I'll keep an eye and I'll bring those questions to Anne in the end. And we encourage you to respond and to challenge ideas, not people. Respect the visual space. So if you have anything in the background that might be distracting, you can blur your background. And we will be recording this space. If for some reason you're uncomfortable with that, feel free to keep your video turned off. Okay, so that is I will stop sharing. And I will make you a co-host so that you can share your screen. And welcome back. It's so great to see you. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry.
There we go.
Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry, Tutu, but I can't share anything here. I don't know if you have the materials from last time.
I do.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe you can start by introducing yourself while I find them.
Absolutely. All right, let me. All right, guys. We had to compromise a little bit, so I'm using my cell phone to do this call with you guys. However, so let me get right to it. First of all, I love you guys. You're amazing. I love the partnership, and I love working with you guys. You make it so easy. So my name is Antoinette De La Rosa. You can call me Ann. It's a mouthful. And I work for Bank of America. My job is actually a financial center manager. So I run 2 financial centers actually in the Bronx. And I have been with Bank of America for 23 years. And I have been in finance for over 25 years. So I love my work. Actually, this is by far the best part of what I get to do. And that's to share a little bit of my knowledge with you guys, so that, you guys can be even better than the past generations, right? And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about savings, right, Tutu? Is that what we're going to do today? So
Yes.
yeah, we're going to talk about savings. We're going to talk about, but if anyone knows me, I kind of rear off into what you guys want to talk about, right? So I don't want to dismiss this class for anything that you may have in mind, right? So if you have something on your mind that you want to talk about, shoot it to Tutu, shoot it, however you guys want to do it. If you want to ask the questions, I love to engage, right? So I know it's hard being on a computer screen, but we'll try our best to engage because I want you to ask questions, right? It's not every day that you get to be in front of, a professional of some kind, right? Without being limited. So I want you to feel free to ask any question you want to ask. And please don't feel, oh, this is a silly question, or this is, I don't want to sound a certain way. Ask it. I don't care. I have been extremely surprised by all of the amazing questions that students have had throughout the years. So please go ahead and do that for me. Yes, there we go. Yay, Tutu saved the day. So so this is perfect. So this is the student guide to managing money, right? So we're kind of, we want to go to, should I get right into it? Tutu, is that okay? Yes?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes, go right ahead, Em.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we'll get right into it. I think you have the same one as I do. So if we're going to just focus on savings, I'd love to get to the screen. If you have the same one as me, we're going to jump around a little bit. So I want to go to page 17, if that's the same one that you have as me. Yeah, keep going. It should be needs versus wants. Keep going. It's a little graph. Yeah, that's the one. So I can't see you guys, but I'd love to be able to see you guys if I can. So I'm a visual person, right? I'm a visual learner, and I love this graph because it really breaks down needs versus wants, right? So when we talk about savings, right, sometimes it's a little bit of a sensitive topic for folks, right? I know it still is for me. You would think that, oh yeah, she's got it together, she's been in banking for so long, she probably has a ton of money saved. Wrong. I'm just like everyone else, right? I make all the same mistakes. I have all of the same needs and wants and desires. But in order for you to successfully save money, you really have to understand these two basic concepts, and that's needs versus wants, right? And I love this little graph because it just kind of gives some examples, right? And I know some of you are probably, laughing at the calculator because you probably don't even know what a calculator is anymore. So don't laugh at the calculator. But I want you to have an idea, right? So the calculator represents maybe tools that you may need for school, right? Or for work. The socks are representing clothing, right? The fuel is gas, right? It might be even a Metro card, right? You guys may take the subway, and books. And so these are needs. You need these things in order to function, right? In order to go to school, in order to go to work, in order to, get through your life's goals, right? Your wants, on the other hand, are things that you don't necessarily need, right? Can you survive without a pair of, flashy sunglasses? Yeah, we can survive, Can we survive without, tickets to a concert or tickets to Comic-Con or wherever it is that we want to go? Can we survive without the latest sneakers, right? Can we survive without the newest cell phone? Or, I'm sure you guys have no idea what a flip phone is, right? But can you survive? I joke with my son all the time because he'll ask me certain questions. And I say to him, I have a question for you. Can you tell me what other use does that $2,000 phone have aside from going on to TikTok? So that's my question to my son. So yes, can you survive with a regular phone to make phone calls? Absolutely. So this is super important, and I make it very light and I joke about it, but on a serious note, it's super important that you understand that when you're out there shopping or when you're trying to change your behaviors, that you really know the difference. Like if you're out there shopping and you know your weakness, right? And you're going into the store and you're like, oh my God, this is so nice. I love this blouse. It's so pretty. It's just so sparkly and pretty. I know I would look amazing in it. Do I need it or do I want it? And that's the question you should be asking yourself every single time you go out to buy something. Do I need this or do I want it? And then have a friend with you to break it down and say, no, we don't need this. We want this. Okay. So just a couple of tricks. And I hope you guys are laughing because I can't see it. I'm going to use Tutu as my example. She's smiling, so I'm going to keep going. So this is, again, I harper on this because in order for you to successfully save, it's all about changing your behaviors, right? And that's really with anything, right? If we're trying to get fit, if we're trying to get healthier, if we're trying to, whatever we're working on, right? It's all a matter of changing behavior, changing lifestyle. And that's where it starts, right? So when I talk about our website, bettermoneyhabits.com, right? Well, listen to the title, Better Money Habits. It's habits, right? These are the habits that we are creating. It's the behaviors that we're creating in order to achieve our goal, right? In order to achieve what it is that we're looking to do financially, right? And what a great segue for me to introduce to you Better Money Habits. This is absolutely to me, a pride and joy knowing that I work for Bank of America and they created this beautiful website, because it truly is a beautiful website. It really has everything you need, all of the tools you need in order for you to grow financially, right? We also put it in such a fashion where we allow you, I call them the little bubbles, right? I love to call them the little bubbles because it's, you have a life plan, right? So you can create life plans, you can create goals. And this will help you to achieve whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, whether it is to build credit, whether it's to save, whatever it is that you're looking to do. Everyone has a different goal and a different time in their life. But we always have a goal that we're looking to achieve, no matter where we are in our lives. All right. So let's get back to this. Let's see. I want to jump now to, we're going to go backwards and we're going to go back to, where is it? I want to jump around.
I have a couple of questions about saving. Would you say, I guess most folks here are either getting checks or they're getting direct deposits. What are some things folks have started thinking about in terms of like savings? What would be best practices? Do you recommend that people have is it called a standing order or something like that? I don't know what that term is, where you say every month you take off like $20 and it goes directly to your savings account.
Sure. I'm gonna tell you to go to this screen. It's page 15. I don't love it, but it kind of will give you an idea. So this is what you would call a budget, right? So and at the top of the screen it says know your expenses. So, a lot of folks have really great intention and they say, yeah, I really want to save, but where do I even start? How do I do that? Right. So I like to keep things really simple. Right. And I like to just break it down simply. First, you want to know what you have coming in. Right. So, and that would be your paycheck. Right. So we're going to start from there. And I'm going to use $100 because I think $100 is just it's just very simple. So I have $100. Now I need to take this $100 and I need to break down what my expenses are, right? That's what you see on the screen. So you have cell phone, you have entertainment, you have food or snacks, right? You have food for dining out, you have clothes, you have haircuts. These are the things that you need, right? Not that you want, but you need. So you're going to break that down. This has it broken down by month, right? But we can even just start 1 month, right? You don't have to go into several months. But the idea is that you break down what your expenses are. Now, if some of the kids out there already started doing these direct deposits, here's a good way for you to break it down by looking at what you have in your checking account already. How are you spending your money, right? So if you look at your check and you're like, oh my gosh, I put this money in on Friday and then by Thursday it's gone. All right, well, let's take a look at our transactions. What did we do with our money, right? So that's a good thing to do, just to look at what it is, where are we spending our money? And then we can, from there, break it down. Okay, this is how much I need for my expenses. Do I have anything left over? Now, prior to having anything left over, my secret, and the secret that has been for everyone forever, is that we make ourselves an expense. And I always say this in all my classes. I say, pay me first, right? Make me a bill, right? So the way you would never not pay your cell phone bill or not pay your electric bill or whatever bill it is, well, I want you to think of yourself that same way, right? So whether it is your savings account that you're going to use or whatever, wherever you're going to put that money, put it in your mind that that's a bill, right? So maybe you start off, so I get paid $100. If I get paid $100, maybe I start with 10% of that, right? And then if I know I'm going to get a raise or a bonus, right? Well, maybe I have a goal in mind and I really want to get to this goal. Well, I lived without that bonus for so long. So why don't I just take that bonus and put it in my savings? Or, you know what? I can treat myself, give myself, maybe 5% of that bonus, go out to dinner or go out with some friends. And then the rest of it goes into the savings, because you're managing to live with that $100 all of this time. You don't need the extra money. So take your bonus or take that raise that you got and use it towards getting to your goal. Now, if you take me as an expense, whatever's left over, right? We want to maximize on that. You don't want to be so strict where you say, okay, this is how I'm going to be, because you're going to break, right? You don't want to break. So whatever's left over, you say, okay, well, I have a little bit left over, and what do I really want to do? What do I enjoy the most? Well, you know what? I love being with my friends on Friday. So I'm going to take maybe half of what's left over and use that to hang out with my friends on Friday, right? Or maybe take a quarter of that and then break it down for all of the wants, right? As opposed to the needs, right? So that's how we would start a savings plan, get into savings. And that's really at its finest, the simplest way to start saving. I want to pause there so I see if anybody has any questions. How are we doing, Tutu?
I think we're good. I just put in the chat asking if people had any savings tips and tricks that they've used in the past. Perfect.
Let's go to slide 16. So I love this one again because I'm visual. So and these are just really tiny examples of how we spend money, right? So when this is the choices you make, right? So in the morning, if you choose to buy a coffee and a snack every single day, and these prices are pretty low, because I wish I could find a place that you can buy
$6.
yeah, a cup of coffee and a snack for $4. I have no idea where that is. So take me there. But if you were to do this, daily versus maybe 3 times a week, right? Look at how much you would save on a weekly basis, $8, and on a yearly basis, you would save $416 in a year just by doing it 3 times a week as opposed to 4, right? hold one moment. I'm gonna talk and walk at the same time. So I think my associates are trying. I'm multitasking here, guys. So the next one is pizza and a movie, right? So but you could put whatever you want. So say you're spending $12. Today I use that example as lunch, right? And that's really a cheap lunch, because yesterday I went to Panera and I don't know how half a sandwich and a salad was $18, but it was $18. So so 12 bucks, let's just say that's lunch. So say instead of weekly, right, we're spending $12, and say maybe it's 2 times a month. And then the rest of the month, we're bringing our lunch, right, to school or to work, right? You'd save 288, that's almost $300 a year that you would save just by changing your habits, right? And the same thing goes for, you know, a vending machine snack, right? $1.25 versus, you know, 65 cents, you know, an apple from home, whatever. You know, these are just really small examples, but how they have increased with our economy today, right? And how much more you can save. Now more than ever, I think it is so important that we take heed of these examples, because it's so much more expensive today, right? So all the more reasons, if you didn't do it before, now you're more likely to want to, and you're more convinced that you should, right? To maybe make lunch at home, or bring in your coffee in a thermos, as opposed to, or even, you know, we make it here at work, right? So we all get together, we all buy the ingredients and what we need, and we make it at work, as opposed to spending $6 every single day on a cup of coffee. These are really small but super important habits that you can create, and all the more better to create them at a younger age, and instead of starting later in your life where the habits are harder to break. How does that sound? I'm pausing. What do we got?
Sounds great. And I would say there are a couple of folks here who this is their first job, and some might not have bank accounts. If I was in that position, didn't have a bank account, but now getting money and would like to put it somewhere, where would I start?
Okay, so let's go back to page 7.
Okay.
So it's important to understand the difference between a checking account and a savings account, right? And that's, you know, when you're starting out, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about, right? And I always say a checking account should be first, right? And yes, you hear me talk about saving money. It's super important. But if you don't get into the swing of it, right? If you don't understand how to actually function with an account, it's harder to create both at the same time than to start with just one. Now, if you can do both at the same time, great. I say, you know, take one at a time. So I'd like to talk about first the checking account. Now, if you're starting your first job, right? Can you guys hear me? Because oh, there you go. All right, perfect. So when you're starting your first job, you guys are getting direct deposit, which is pretty awesome to have direct deposit, because a lot of companies, you know, they may write you a check and then you have to go to the bank, you have to cash the check. It's, you know, it's a pain, but to be able to get direct deposit is awesome. So a lot of companies, right? If you weren't a student, or like, for instance, I can share with you Bank of America, and a lot of other banks are maybe similar, right? It's a little bit different, but with Bank of America, if you're under the age of 24, your account doesn't have any monthly fees, right? But once you hit 24 years of age, you have to do something in order to avoid that monthly fee. Most of the times, most banks just require you to have direct deposit. So it's awesome that you guys are experiencing this direct deposit so young and so early, because it's a great way to get your money into the account very quickly, and then you can start using it just as quickly, as opposed to, you know, having to do all the extra work of going to the bank. So let's break this down. So a checking account offers easy access to funds, right? So easy access, well, you can access your account with a debit card. The debit card doesn't physically, today, we don't even have to have physical debit cards anymore. Now we have them on our phones, right? Through Apple Pay or Google Pay. And you can just, you know, tap your phone and go, right? We have ATM withdrawals, right? You pretty much can go to any ATM machine. Now, be careful because some banks will charge you fees, right, to withdraw funds. So that's something you need to be careful about, but you still have access to your money anywhere, right? You know, we're very fortunate that we live in New York City and that we're able to have all this accessibility everywhere that we go. So the third bullet would be come with a debit card that takes funds directly out of your account, right? So a checking account will always have a debit card link to it, right? So you're able to take the money directly out of your account. You don't necessarily need to carry cash with you because you have your debit card, right? Here's one that may sound very archaic, guys. Ready? Okay, this is going to be a big one. You can write checks. Now, I'm going to pause there. I know none of you know what a check is, and I hope you never know what a check is. But there is something called checks where you can physically write to someone. You know, you can make it payable to someone and you can give them money, you know, the whole process. I know it's archaic, but we still do it. So the second to last bullet is, you know, to transfer money or pay bills with online or mobile banking. Now, you guys do everything on your phones, right? This is another way that we've made banking easier, right? You can pay your bills. You can, there's so much. I know everyone today does Zelle, right? You guys Zelle each other money, or you guys do other things like Venmo or Cash App. Well, Venmo and Cash App cost money, whereas Zelle is free, right? Free is good, guys. Get used to that terminology. We want free. We don't want to pay for anything. So that's the whole point of us saving money. Give me just 1 second. I'm so sorry. No, I didn't complete it yet. So if you want to just go in and complete it for me. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. And then the last thing is earn interest when opening an interest-bearing account. Now, on a regular checking account, you guys wouldn't earn any interest. That would be for your savings account, right? There are other types of checking accounts that, you know, that require larger balances and you would earn interest. But I would, you know, just that last bullet kind of keep to the side. And then you have a savings account, right? So a savings account is used to set money aside for goals. It's limited in the number of transactions that you can make. This is the major difference between a checking and a savings account. Now, with a checking account, it's operational. It's in and out, in and out. So you can you constantly have movement, right? And you're not penalized for this movement. So it's, you can in, out, money goes in, money comes out. It's constant. It's what I call operating account. You operate out of this account, right? A savings account isn't so much a transactional. It's for saving. That's the point, right? So here's some fun facts. I don't know if you want to call them fun facts, but you know, we call it Regulation D, right? We're governed by the government, right? Regulation that the government says, well, if you're going to give interest to consumers, well, then they have to treat it like a savings account where they're saving, right? So we limit the number of withdrawals that you're able to make and transfers, because a transfer is considered a withdrawal, right? So you're taking money out of the account, right? And you're putting it somewhere else. I love when clients come in and say, yeah, but I didn't take the money. I transferred it. Well, you did take the money. You put it somewhere else. So, you know, so you still took the money. So I say anytime you're taking out of the savings is considered a withdrawal, right? So we limit that number. That's why savings is separate from a checking account. You don't want to use that as your operating account. You can link your checking account to make transfers, right? So you have the ability to, you know, go between accounts. And the great part is that you also earn a little interest, right? By keeping that money in the account, you gain some interest on this money. That's the one of the benefits of not keeping it underneath the mattress, right? Or in the closet, or in a shoebox, where you actually accumulate some money. So these are the benefits between checking and savings, and this is the difference between the two. So I know it's a little long-winded, but it's important that you understand the two different types of accounts. So you guys are new and you're starting out, you definitely need a checking account, super, super important. But don't delay on having a savings account, because like I said to you earlier, you want to pay me first, right? So me, quote unquote, that me is your savings account, right? So use that account to pay yourself. And that's how you're going to start building that savings. And if you need to trick yourself some way, somehow, right? Maybe, I don't know, don't link it on your online banking so you can't see it, or don't link it to your debit card. You know, there's so many small things you can do, like maybe to trick yourself. You know, you only know yourself, right? And you know what you're going to do. So, and you're only going to hurt yourself if you don't do it the right way. So it's important to be honest and understand what your habits are and how you can, you know, start restructuring those habits and changing them in order to create better.
And something that might be relevant is I see now that there are a lot of online banks that don't have brick and mortar like locations.
Yes.
Are those okay for people to use, or should we proceed with caution in those instances?
I will say this. I will say proceed with caution no matter where you go, whether there's it's a brick and mortar, whether it's you know, not so much proceed with, you know, it's more about do your homework, right? I say do your homework because you need to know what you need, right? And what works for you. When you're going into picking a bank, right? Maybe, you know, it's just understanding what's most important. Is convenience most important to you, right? So I was just going to say, thank you. You read my mind. Right. So number one is convenience, bank location, right? Is that important to you? You know, are you the type of person like, okay, well, I spend most of my day in Manhattan and I don't, you know, I live in one of the boroughs. I live in Brooklyn, let's just say, right? I live in Brooklyn, but I'm always in Manhattan. So if I'm always in Manhattan and there's a blah, blah bank across the street, then that's important to me because I'm never going to be home and I'm never going to get to any other bank. So maybe I'll choose blah, blah, blank across the street because that's what's important to me. Or let's say I get this a lot where I have certain clients that, you know, there's a terminology called blue collar workers, right? A blue collar worker is someone who works like a teacher, a firefighter, right? A police officer. These guys, most of them work with a union, right? A union type of a job. The unions provide certain banks and make these banks accessible to them with benefits, right? But a lot of these banks are what we call a credit union, right? So the credit unions are not easily accessible to everyone. So what do I tell my clients? I say to them, please, by all means, have your credit union, but then you may also want another bank that's more commercial and more available to you for other needs, right? I'll give you a personal example, right? My boyfriend is an officer, right? He works for Homeland Security and he banks with a credit union, and he's one of the stubborn ones that doesn't like to listen and insists that he can do everything from his credit union until one day, lo and behold, he needed to transfer money. And I said, okay. And of course I was being facetious and I said to him, oh, well, why don't you just use Zelle, honey? And he says, well, I can't. Oh, really? Why not? Well, my credit union doesn't have that option. Oh, okay. So why don't you wire the money? Well, I can't. My credit union doesn't have that option. I see. So when you're stuck in a jam, you need to know what is accessible to you. That's why I say, do your homework. So are you the type of person that's always on your phone? Well, online banking may be something that's super important to you. If that bank doesn't offer everything you need with online banking, you know, like Zelle, like paying bills, having the tap and go feature with your phone, like maybe you travel on the subway and you don't have time to go buy a Metro card and you really love having that, you know, debit card on your phone. What is important to you? Number 3 will be mobile banking. Same thing as online banking, right? So online will be on a computer, mobile will be on your phone. Number 4, ATM access, right? Do you like having cash? You know, I know a lot of clients live in really tiny little neighborhoods where cash is still a thing, right? Where they have to have cash on them because they don't accept cards. Well, I need to know that it's important that there's an ATM location everywhere. And is my bank going to penalize me every time I use this particular ATM machine, right? I love to go to the bodegas and use the little ATM machines at the bodegas, right? Because they're accessible, they're everywhere. Well, am I going to be penalized for that? So if I take out 20 bucks, am I going to spend 10 to take out 20 because of all of the fees? Well, we don't want that, right? So that needs to be something you consider. So there's a lot of things. And then of course, number 5, student offers. So there's many banks that have student offers. And I say student offers because sometimes the terminology may be different, right? Some banks will go according to your age. Some will go according to if you're enrolled in school or not. So it really all depends. That's why we just call them student offers, right? So do your homework, choose what's right for you. Don't just choose the first brick and mortar you see, right? Or online, right? Say you, you know, say, I had an associate just recently say to me, well, I don't do anything in person. I do everything online. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, they don't shop in person. They don't do anything in person. Everything is online. And I know for me, that's a hard concept, but for you young folks, that's easy, right? It's like, well, we do everything online. Okay, I get it. So maybe that's important to you. Maybe,
There's some things in the chat that I want to highlight. Someone, DK says customer service is important. And also in this day and age, security, is my money safe or will my account be hacked? And then having my hard money disappear, or my hard-earned money disappear.
Great questions. Great questions. So let me take the first one was
Customer service.
Customer service. Yes. That is literally, you know, the key to my heart, right? I am huge on customer service. You know, when I go out with my son, he gets really embarrassed because he says I'm one of those people that make a fuss over things. And it's because I understand the importance of customer service and how to such great extent and that we go through in my financial center and, you know, and in our company to make our clients happy, right? So when I go somewhere, that's super important to me. So yes, customer service is important. If this is something that's important to you, having a live person that you can go into, you know, an actual place, a location and sit with is important. So if that's important to you, then by all means, you need to understand, pick a place that is going to have that type of relationship, right? The second thing was
security.
Security. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can leave it on that. I love this graph. You can leave it there. So security. So understand, and again, this goes back to doing your homework. Understand that having your money in a bank will always be more secure than having your money in the house, right? In a cookie jar, underneath the bed, whatever the case may be. So right there, choosing a bank is going to afford you that you know, ability to have your money secure, right? But then I know you're probably thinking, well, you know, I see these signs that say insured or FDIC insured. What does that mean? I don't understand it. Well, here's a little history lesson, right? So back during the Depression, right, their banks fell, right? So the whole economy just fell. Everything just went kaput, right? And people's money was gone right along with them, right? So everything was gone. There was no security involved. That's where this insurance came about, right? The federal, you know, insurance. So the government turned around and said, okay, well, banks now need to secure the assets, right, of individuals that are putting their money in there so that if something were to happen, the public can feel safe knowing that their money is secured. So even if Bank of America, and I'll use Bank of America as an example, if we go under, if we fall, if our business goes down and we close our doors, your money's still safe, right? Now, I say this very loosely because there's terms, right? So obviously, you know, you need to read the fine print, and that's saying that your money's secured up to $250,000, right? So you need to know how much of your wealth you're going to spread around, right? And obviously, there's other things, right? You know, if you work with someone who's a financial planner, you know, you could put your money in different types of accounts. Now, financial planning and investments is a topic I can't talk about because you need to be licensed, right? You need to have certain special licenses to be able to have that conversation. If you walk into any financial institution, no, I shouldn't say any, I take that back. Most financial institutions, they have that option where they will have a financial advisor that either can make an appointment to speak to you or is actually in the financial center, right? So in my financial center, if you were to walk into my financial center, right, we have a little section that says Merrill Lynch, right? It's Merrill Lynch, it's an affiliate of Bank of America. And there is Renee. She's ready to, you know, with a smile, ready to talk to you, free of charge. You can ask her anything you want. You know, you don't pay for this. People, you know, spend lots and lots of money for consultations, but your bank offers this, right? Any bank you go to offers this.
Oh, that's good. And I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yes,
you could get it free.
yes, it's free. Go in
Thank
there.
you.
They're waiting for you. They want your business. They want to talk
Yeah.
to you. My advice is take your savings and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm interested in. You know, I'm at this point in my life, I'm interested in building my retirement. I'm interested in building savings for my children. I'm interested in buying a car. I'm interested in buying a home. What can I do with my savings, right? And that's what a financial planner is there for, right? If you go to Better Money Habits, you're going to see a section that says life plan, right? You can start by creating a life plan, walking into that office for that financial advisor and saying, here's my life plan. This is what I'm looking to do. Help me to build that. What do I need to do? Where do I start? Where do I go? We don't all just wake up one morning and understand stocks and bonds, right? Who understands that? Nobody, you know, like, come on, we don't all watch Wolf of Wall Street, right? So we have no idea. So, you know, we have no idea. We want to be able to trust somebody to help us to do that, right? And we're all at different levels, right? Like I said, either you're saving for a car, you're saving, like my son, he's 21, he's saving for his first car, right? Next is going to be, I'm going to save for, I don't know, maybe I want to buy a home. Maybe I want, you know, whatever the next level is for you. It's important to always have a financial advisor along the way of your life, because your life changes constantly and your goals change constantly. What was the next question?
Oh, it's my next question. So we talked about banking, we talked about savings. Something that's going to be important later on in life that is helpful for folks to start thinking about now is credit, because it can either break you or make you.
Yes.
And I wonder if you can just take us through what are credit cards,
Yes.
what are important things to think about before getting a credit card, and how to get good credit or how to start building credit.
Yes. So this graph that Tutu has put up is probably going to be a phenomenon for the rest of your life. It absolutely makes no sense. And I hate it. So there, I'm being honest. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Okay. So
I think we all hate it.
I hate it. It's awful. I mean, I can name a million other countries that have a better system. Yeah. However, this is ours and this is what we have to deal with. So I'm going to be honest and tell you that. So you have what's called your credit score, right? So your credit score, it's determined by, you know, many things. And here are some of the things on here, right? So types of credit in use, new credit, payment history, amounts owed, length of credit history. And I'll go into that, okay? So let's break it down. So in order for you to get a credit card, you have to have credit history. Well, then you say to me, well, Anne, that's kind of silly because how do I get credit history if I've never had a credit card? How do I get a credit card? So it's kind of, it's a little circle, right? So that's where I say, use your common sense and, just, it is what it is. We're going to explain it this way. So here's what I tell my clients. The moment you get a social security number, right? Or when you first apply for anything, don't automatically assume, don't say, well, I have no credit, so I'm going to go for what people would call a secured credit card. So let me stop for a second and just explain what that is. And again, I'm going kind of fast, but I want to get it all in there. So maybe, you can take some questions down. A secured, so think of it this way. I'm lending you money, Anne is lending you money, right? So when you lend a friend money, you lend it to them on the basis of their reputation, right? So your friend, your friend has a good job, your friend gets paid every Friday, that your friend, is known for paying people back. He's built a reputation, right? So you lend to certain people based on that reputation, right? Well, what if the person coming to you is a stranger? How do you determine whether you're going to lend to them or not, right? So that's where it becomes tricky, right? So now here I am, I'm the person, I'm the bank, and I say, I'm going to lend Tutu some money. Well, you know what? I really like Tutu's glasses, so I'm going to give her some money. Well, you can't do that, right? That's discriminating. Can't do that, because then what about all the other people that come to me that don't wear glasses? They're not going to get any money. So we can't do that, right? So how are we fair and ensuring that we lend money to everyone, right? Based on this reputation, right? We use a credit score, right? So whenever you come into the bank, someone says to me, well, you know what, Anne, I don't have any credit. I just want to do secured credit card. Well, I can't run to the secured credit card. Why? Because I'm discriminating. I'm discriminating along with my client because they're discriminating themselves, right? So I can't do that. I need to be the same as I would to any other client. So I would say to them, you know what? I understand that you feel that you have no credit. Maybe you did some homework, nothing popped up, but we're not going to let you decide. We're going to let the system decide, right? So, and there's times where they will get approved for a secured or partially secured, right? So a secured credit card is this. A secured credit card is saying, well, you know what? I have no history. I have no reputation. How do I get this person, this bank, to trust me, right? How do I do that? How do I ensure to them that I'm trustworthy? Well, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to give it to them to hold on to, right? And they're going to hold on to this money, and then they're going to watch me build my habits, right? They're going to watch me create habits, and they're going to see that I am trustworthy by all of the things that I'm, right? So maybe in 6 months to a year, right? I'm paying on time, constantly paying on time. I am, I pay, if not the minimum balance, the entire balance every single month. I never miss a payment. Well, now I've gained that reputation, right? So I'm building my credit score. I'm building my credit. Then the bank says, well, you know what? Okay, you did great. All right, Tutu, we're going to give you back your money, but you still get to keep your credit card because we trust you now, right? That's a secure credit card. So I say 300 because we start at 300, but you can put more down if you want. Then there's something called partially secured, where you may have just a little bit of credit, but not enough to get a secured credit card, where the bank says, we're going to give you a credit line of $500, but you only pay $99, right? And we'll save that $99 or $100, whatever, for a certain amount of time. We want to make sure that we can trust you. Then once we're sure that we can trust you, we'll give you back that money and you get to keep your card as well, right? And then there's what's called an unsecured card, where we just say, you know what? You have a high enough score that we will lend you the full amount, whether it's 5,000, 2,000, 1,000, whatever the case is. and we're lending it to you based on your reputation, your history, right? So a credit card is money that the bank lends you, right? And on a monthly basis, you pay the bank back. So let's just say you have $1,000 credit card, right? You go out, you spend $300. Okay. Now you spent this, here's the do's and don'ts, right? So the next screen, page 24, the do's and don'ts of what you want to do. So you pay, you go out, you spend the money. You want to go to page 24? So here's some do's and don'ts, right? You always want to pay your bills on time. You want to pay the bills in full, right? Or more, right? More than the minimum. When you get your bill, the bill's going to say that you owe, let's just say you went out and spent $100, right? It's going to say, okay, Tutu owes $100, but as long as she pays $20 by the 5th, she's okay. Well, that doesn't mean that the other $90 goes away, right? It means that next month she's going to have to pay the balance plus interest, right? So if you're only paying the $10 the first month, well, the rest of the balance is going to get carried over into the next month. And hence how I get paid, right? I work for the bank. That's how we get paid, right? So we get paid by the interest we make off your credit cards, right? So they don't just pay me. I don't work for free. So yes, you definitely want to pay your entire bill on time, so you're avoiding any excess charges, right? You never want to pay more than you have to, right? Another terminology I love to use, and I've used it for years, is I say, let the bank work for you. You don't work for the bank, right? So don't give us extra money. Let us give you that extra money, right? Take out credit cards with rewards, right? With points, with cash back, whatever it is that, tickles your fancy, right? Whatever it is that you enjoy, where you're getting something out of it. Don't let us work for you, as opposed to the other way around. Maybe you get points or you get percentages off, right? A lot of banks offer these rewards, right? For being a great client. Well, maximize on those rewards. Get the most you can. Let the bank work as hard as they possibly can for you, not the other way around. Monitor your bills and your credit report. Don't be one of those crazies that look at their credit report every 5 seconds and call the bank and say, why did my credit go up and down? It's gonna go up and down, okay? It's gonna go up and down. Every time you tap into your credit, it will affect it. It will affect it temporarily, right? Every time you apply for a credit card, every time you use credit for something, it's going to fluctuate. Now, here's the thing. Do not get enticed with, oh, I have 10 credit cards. That means I have great credit. No, it's actually the opposite, right? If you have 10 credit cards, that means you're 10 times more exposed to debt, right? You have the capacity to spend all those credit cards, right? So you're not better off, you're less, right? You want less credit cards. Now you're saying, well, why is Ann telling me this? She works for the bank. Well, yeah, I do work for the bank, but I want a healthy client. I want a client that is going to be able to use their money wisely, right? I want you to stay with us for as long as you can. Get credit cards that work for you, right? Use credit cards wisely. Credit cards are not meant to substitute your paycheck. They're meant to be used to build credit and, quite possibly, I don't know, maybe you have a really big purchase you want to make, right? I use my credit card in that way. Here's a great example. We'll go to that in a minute. So I use my credit card, like, for instance, if I want to buy something that is a big purchase and I know I'm going to get a lot of points from that, right? So maybe I spend 500, but I'll get back 100. Well, that's free money. Who doesn't want to do that? Why would I spend 500 in cash when I can get $100 back? Right? That's more money I can pay me with, right? So I'll use my credit card, get the points or get the cash back, pay the credit card the next month off because I have the money to pay for it, right? And I also made $100 that I can throw in my savings account. as extra. That's really using your cards wisely. Now, is there going to be times where you'll have emergencies and you need your credit card? Absolutely. No one's perfect, right? But you want to make sure you pay that card off as fast as you possibly can. Don't just keep paying the minimum. You want to pay as much as you can and as quickly as you can. Sorry, my team is going back and forth. My apologies. So here's a graph of being able to use your credit card wisely, right? So it's saying you have $500, paying $15 monthly, right? You're going to end up paying off that $500 in 3.5 years. And you're going to end up paying the bank $124 in interest. Now, these are really low numbers. This is assuming that the interest rate is 13%. I will assure you that a Macy's credit card starts 22%.
Yeah.
Okay, so 13% is really good. Okay, so be very careful when you buy that sweater at Macy's, because you think that you're getting it on clearance for 20 bucks, but if it takes you 3.5 years to pay off, well, that $20 sweater you now paid $1,000 for, as opposed to $20 because it took you that long to pay it off, right? So make sure you understand that concept. Credit cards are great. You know, they're great to a bank because they hide everything, right? You don't see anything. It's just cha-ching, cha-ching. You just spend. It's amazing. You walk out of the store, you sign a piece of paper, you're done. It's like, wow, this is fabulous. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, right? So $3,000, a $3,000 bill, if you only pay $65 a month, it's going to take you over 17 years to pay off, right? And you would have paid double for it in interest. So instead of paying $3,000, you paid $6,000, and literally a lifetime to pay off. $3,000, that's nothing, right? In a grand scheme of things, it's not even enough to buy a car. So think about that. It's a lot of money. So you want to pay as much as you can. Now, look at the difference. If you pay $200 every month, right? Instead of 17 years, it would take you 1 year and 5 months to pay off. And you would only pay $300 in interest, $317 in interest, right? So would we love not to pay any interest at all? Yes, of course. But there's going to be times where that's going to have to be an option for you, right? Where you're going to say, you know what, I really need to pay this particular thing and I need it in this time frame. Well, I can live with paying $300 as opposed to $3,000, right? So people make these decisions all of the time, and that's what banks are there for. They're there for that reason, right? Hey, we're going to lend you this money. This is how much you're going to spend for it. You want to be a wise consumer to make the best choice for you, right? Should I take out this much? Should I take out that much? Should I spend this much? How am I going to do it? That's where an advisor, or when you walk into a bank, that's what we do. That's what we help you with. You know, there's also a lot of great tutorials, even on YouTube, right? A lot of different things you can learn from different people that, hey, you know, do this or do that or practice this. I like to watch them. I like to watch because I like to get different ideas, especially about credit cards. And, you know, there's a guy I watch all the time on YouTube that he talks about different credit cards and all the benefits you can get from credit cards. It's interesting. It's good to, you know, the more knowledge you gain, the better questions you can ask. So it's never wrong to learn. You know, just don't use your money as an example. So
yeah. And we've actually run out of time.
Oh.
I don't know if any are there any burning questions before we log off, Fran?
Well, as you asked, I just want to say thank you so much for keeping up.
Thanks. Thank you for coming back and talking to us. I feel like every time I hear you talk, I'm like, wow, learning so many new things.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. You guys are awesome. And I really appreciate you. You have my email. So if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them anytime. And of course, you know, you can invite me back, whatever you guys want to do here. And I wish you guys all of the best, to all of the students, and a great future. And if you're ever in the Bronx, stop by, say hello. This was great. Thank you. Oh, look, I got a little message. I didn't even know I get messages.
Jacqueline, Jacqueline says thank you.
So thank you,
And
Isabel.
this was great. Thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Please stop by, say hello. I'd love to meet some of you guys. Okay.
All right, everyone, you're dismissed. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye now.